Welcome to the Owning Your Sexual Self podcast. I'm your host, Rachael Main, awesome wife and dog mom for life. I'm a sex therapist turned sex coach, and I run a successful business selling relationship enhancement products. I absolutely love talking about all things sex. So you can expect this podcast to explore all things related to women's sexual health because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you discover and embrace what brings you pleasure so that you can own your sexual self. If that sounds good to you, then keep listening and let's fucking do this. All right, welcome back to the Owning Your Sexual Self podcast. I'm very excited to have on our guest today, Rachael Z, all the way from Kansas City.
Yes.
Yes, the wonderful world of Instagram. I always like to give an Instagram shout out because it connects me with so many people, and I know we have a mutual friend, Jordan Donnell. That's how we met. I just steal all of her podcast guests basically at this point. So
I love it. I always tell her, I'm like, you have the coolest friends. Can you introduce me?
Yes, and yeah, she is just so good at the collaboration and all of that. So I'm very excited. So yeah, she tagged you a few weeks ago, and I went to your page, fell in love with you immediately from the start. And then again, I know on our first recording we were mentioning all the dicks in your background, but I'm super excited to chat with you about this Tantric Penis Massage. I think it's something that a lot of people haven't heard of. And so tell us a little about you. How did you get into this line of work?
Okay, so I'll try and keep it brief because I like to gab. So I have always kind of dabbled in the sex industry from I don't know, this time I was in my early 20s because I used to have these gorgeous giant titties and they just naturally lended themselves to sexual power. And I was like, well, if I'm going to be a hoe, might as well be a hoe for pay. So I dabbled in sex work, webcamming and stuff. This was when webcamming was brand new, but I just found that dildoing yourself all day wasn't very fun. I tried stripping. I lasted for 3 days. I was not into that. I was not a good dancer. And then I got into full service sex work, and I did it for a while, and then I left it in my mid 20s, and then in fast forward, I was 35 and I got diagnosed with breast cancer. And I was working at a restaurant at the time, and I quit and I started treatment, and I didn't go back to sex work because I had to from a fiscal standpoint. I mean, money is always nice. But I really felt like I was losing everything feminine about me. My hair, I knew that my breasts were going to have to go soon. And so it really just felt like my sexual self was just being ripped away from me. And I was like, you know what I'm really good at? I'm really good at dicks. So if I get back into that world, maybe it will boost my self-confidence. And it did. But I couldn't, all the other times I'd done sex work, I had relied so heavily on my breasts. But this time I couldn't do that because I had a mastectomy and reconstruction, and I was feeling really shitty about my body. And that's how I got into Tantric Penis Massage. I was like, how can I work in the sex industry and not have to get naked, but still give men the best orgasms of their lives?
Yes.
And that's how I got into it.
That is amazing. And in your bio, so you, though, primarily work with women, and so you help teach women how to give some badass tantric penis massages, correct?
Yes. So I always hid the fact that I was a sex worker because I was, fear and shame and judgment. And for years, my clients had been telling me, please teach this to women. Please teach this to women. And I was hesitant to share with women that I worked in the sex industry because I didn't want their judgment. And but then once I started to open up about it, I was blown away by the questions. Mm-hmm. How do I give a better hand job? How do I give a better blowjob? What the hell is Tantric Penis Massage? How do I massage this prostate? So then that's how I ended up here, teaching women how to be better at dicks.
Yeah. And how long have you been in this specific niche?
This specific specific niche is pretty new to me. I'm doing my first course, Master Your Man, which I'm really, really excited about. It doesn't start until August 9th. So, but I'm really, really excited about it. And it's covering all the things to be better at penises and balls. Those are my hands down 2 favorite topics.
I just feel like the world needs more people like you, 100%. I can relate so much to your story, because that's also why I do my work. You know, I come from the background, I work in direct sales with Pure Romance. I'm on the senior board of directors with them, and same thing, when I would do parties for women, they're like, please teach my partner this, like, please educate my partner on foreplay and blah, blah, blah. And so I have recently delved into the sex working world myself and got on OnlyFans and started doing that more education gearing towards men. And, you know, I can do that in a sexy way too, which is, you know, good for my own sexual confidence and whatnot. But it's amazing. I like, again, I love that you said you were nervous about coming forward about this, because we know, right? I mean, just in this industry in general, we're going to be judged no matter what the fuck we do. So you might as well do what feels right to you. And in the long run, what I've learned is that the people that are here for you they're going to be staying for you. They're here for you for a reason. So you might as well be your true authentic self and do what makes you happy, so you avoid burnout in the long run too.
Yeah. I mean, I was just so sick of living the double life, and you know, one of my biggest takeaways from cancer is like, fuck it. People are gonna think whatever they want to think, and just be yourself. And if they can't get down with that, then whatever. It's whatever. I know, I'm very well aware that my personality is very inappropriate and very lewd, very loud. And if I'm not for you, then that's really okay with me at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into it. So what is Tantric Penis Massage? Let's start there.
Okay, so Tantric Penis Massage is essentially a tantric sex practice that honors the penis and the person that have them. So it's all about the penis, but not in the typical, like, rub and tug, hand job, like, let's get this done real fast. Tantric practices are all about slowing down and being connected with yourself and your body. And I think the biggest thing that is amazing about Tantric Penis Massage is that so frequently, both men and women, we struggle to just receive pleasure. Like, it's an uncomfortable spot especially in my experience with men. They always think that, like, oh, if you're touching my penis, then for an extended period of time, then I need to, like, try and get my fingers in somewhere, or rub this or rub that. And so it's really all about slowing down and being connected with your own body and really, like, riding the waves of pleasure. Unlike a traditional hand job, it's about multiple orgasms and edging and really riding that roller coaster of sensation instead of just like, oh, boom, done. So that is really the basis of what it is.
And so I love that you're talking about specifically slowing down, which I think that I'm sure for the men that are listening to this, they're like, yeah, please slow down. Like, let's make this last longer, right? Because a lot of times the women that I talk to, if they're experiencing pain or uncomfortability, like, they're like, let's get this done as quick as possible, or they have 80 other things on their agenda they'd rather be doing right in that moment, right? Yeah. So I think we both are working to kind of flip that script and just help people enjoy pleasure in general, for men and women. So with Tantric Penis Massage, this is something that a person could do to themselves, or you could do to somebody else that owns a penis?
Yes, you could definitely do it yourself. But I find that doing it for your partner or for someone that owns a penis is just, it's an incredible experience, because people think hand jobs and think that it's like just the beginning act, you know? But by really slowing down and forming that deeper connection and, like, getting in sync with them, your hands are so dexterous and they can just do things that other parts of your body can't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so throughout like the process, if you're the receiver, you're like, oh my God, this is incredible. My penis has never been slow massaged like this. But if you're the giver, it's a really great time to like notice the subtle little moves that he likes, or to notice when he might be getting close to orgasm and backing off. So there's just so many benefits aside from the actual like deed.
Mm-hmm. And so two people that are engaging in this, or I guess ideally it could be more than two people, but let's say people are engaging in this, how long does this usually take? Is there an average? Is there a time frame that's too little, too much?
I mean, when I worked in the sex work specifically, and my sessions were an hour long, which is that's a really, really long time. Don't think that you need, if you're going to try this, that you need to shoot for an hour. Because if you're first trying it, honestly, you won't be able to edge him for an hour without him blowing his load too fast anyway. So that's what my sessions were, but that's because people were paying me to do this. So if you were going to do it with a partner, I would say shoot in the beginning for 10, 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be this like all day long event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's so funny that you say that, because I'm thinking of a recent encounter between my husband and we were doing some dom sub stuff, and I was like, okay, so I hadn't been in the dom role for quite some time. It was our anniversary. I'm trying something new, and in my head I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna go for like 20 minutes, right? We had placed some bets before, and I'm like, fuck, I owe him like 20 minutes of this show. I'm like, what the hell am I gonna do for 20 minute? But it's so funny when you get in the moment. It's like, okay, you can play a little bit more, you can tease a little bit more. If you incorporate a blindfold, if your partner's comfortable enough with that, they're not seeing what you're doing anything. So if you're sitting there like kind of like scratching your head like, fuck, what do I do next? Like, you know, they don't know, and to them it's like that anticipation and just the slightest of touch can be so intriguing.
Absolutely. And the Tantric Penis Massage and edging is all about like the tease and denial aspect. And I think a lot of times, like you just mentioned, you're like, fuck, what do I do? But I think that we don't realize that, because women don't own penises. I mean, I wish I did. That really there's just so much pressure on like, I don't know if that's the right move or the wrong move. But if you're touching a penis, you're doing good. Mm-hmm. Okay? You're doing good. There aren't a lot of like really terrible moves that you can make there. And if you do, and you find a move that like he doesn't enjoy very much, you can totally play it off like I meant to do that. Like that's part of the tease and denial, you know, like, ooh, I knew you didn't like that one. So you can like totally play it off if you're like, oh shit, I don't know. But I do have an established set of like power moves that are the ones that I know when I'm ready, I know I'm going to pull them out.
Yes.
Or I want to bring him to that edge. I know I'm going to go to that bag of like 5 tricks and use them for a little bit.
Yes. I love that you mentioned that. I think that any experienced women, and I guess I'll use experience lately, but I feel like I talked about this in my blowjob episode. I'm like, I know, like if I'm ready to be done, like my neck is hurting, my mouth is hurting, whatever, like I know, like I got the finishing moves, right? Like we all have those like
You're stored. Like, I know how to end this.
I love that. Okay, so can you walk us through like what a session would look like for Tantric Penis Massage? Like where do you even begin?
So I would say first things first, kind of like, and this is not necessary, but I feel like it's a really good way to kind of like set the scene, like dim the lights, get comfortable, both of you. I think the absolute best position to do this in is with him laying on his back, and then you either sitting in between his legs or like laying like, you know, like lazy doggy style, kind of like laying on your belly. I think sitting is the best way. grab some lube. Silicone lube is preferred because it just stays like longest. My lube choice is grapeseed oil, but you can't use that with condoms and stuff. So if you're going to go into something else, you need to be aware of that. But if you're only doing tantric penis massage, I would say get yourself a pump of grapeseed oil, and just start slow. Just let him like guess about when you're actually going to touch his penis. Don't go in full force, like both hands ablazing. Just to start slow and just like make the touches teasy and light, and just go from there. Just the whole concept though is to slow down and tease and deny and ride waves of pleasure. So don't go into it thinking it's going to be your like typical hand job and you're just like trying to break out your power move as quick as possible. So you would just want to like use the moves that you know work really well for like three motions, whatever it is, and then stop and go back to teasing. Stop and go back to teasing. And what essentially that does is when he does have an orgasm, it is the most powerful, incredible like build up of orgasm, because especially men aren't used to that concept of like riding a wave or having multiple orgasms. So this is kind of a way for them to get to experience that.
Yeah. So when you say when you're first starting, not touch penis right away, so are somebody essentially like massaging around like thighs and balls and things like that?
Yeah, massage the thighs, massage the balls, the like abdomen area. And another thing that's great about tantric penis massage is it's not just the penis. I should have mentioned that earlier. It's not just the penis, it's a whole area. So don't forget about the balls. Don't forget about the perineum, which is also the taint, and the prostate. The prostate is where the money is. And you don't have to go inside to get some of the prostate benefits, but I always end up sticking a finger in the butt.
You did say that was your balls and buttholes are your jam.
Balls and buttholes are my jam. I could talk about those two things all day.
Okay, so tell me a little bit more about that. So you said there's a way to still stimulate the prostate without going inside the anus. So how would you explain that to somebody?
Okay, so if you're going to stimulate the prostate by like, if you want to kind of dabble in prostate play, but you're like, I'm not so sure I'm ready to stick my finger in there, you can press up on the perineum, that little patch of skin between the balls and the butthole, and the prostate is located like up in directly behind that. So if you put a little bit of pressure there, it is a slight prostate stimulation without going full in.
Got it. Okay.
And also just rub the butthole a little. In my experience, buttholes are greedy. And if you are rubbing it a little bit, it will like sucker fish, like invite you in.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's so true. I always say, I'm like, it's like a vacuum back there, man. Like you gotta have something with a stopper. Thankfully, your finger has a hand attached to it. Like it's gonna stop itself, but yeah, you never know what's gonna happen. A little bit, like a just the tip sort of experience is never gonna be just the tip.
No, because it's greedy. Because your ball is greedy. Holes are greedy, just in general. They like suck you in.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I'm from now on saying that. Like your asshole is greedy. Like you need to trademark that for sure.
It is. I'm like, I need to make a shirt that says holes are greedy. But because I mean they are though. They are.
So in your experience, do you have a story maybe of somebody in the past work that you've done where they've experienced this for the first time and maybe what they've said or what their experience was afterwards?
All of my clients have been like telling me for years, teach women this. But normally, here's what they say. Aside from having the best orgasms of their life, which is already fucking cool because I'm like immortalized in their spank bank now. But here are the benefits that you don't really realize. By edging a man, it trains him to have more control over his pelvic floor muscles. Kegels aren't just for women. And in doing so, then he has more control over his orgasm. So if you're a man and you're struggling with premature ejaculation, or you wish you could last longer, edging and tantric penis massage can really help you out there because it teaches you more control. So that is what a lot of my clients have said, that it builds their stamina and that it just makes them better, more attentive lovers. Because once you've had that experience of receiving that pure pleasure of simply receiving, then they are like, well, shit, if I got that, I need to give that. And once they understand the power of like what that actually feels like, they're like, holy shit, this made me a better person to my partner. Like, made them more aware of the power of just giving.
Yeah. And are there any rules? Can you only use your hands during this, or can you incorporate toys? Can you incorporate your mouth? Anything like that?
You can definitely, there aren't really any rules, but you can definitely incorporate tools. I would strongly, and you can use your mouth, but I would discourage it initially until you like get the hang of edging, because man, if he is close, putting your mouth on it can certainly blow it for you.
Literally.
And when you put things in your mouth, they just feel like wet and warm, right? So you can't pick up on those subtle cues that maybe you need to slow down. What I like to do if I'm going to incorporate mouth is like just to get my mouth close to it. And that's enough of a tease. If they can feel the warm breath and maybe a little spit. And you can definitely use butt plugs, prostate toys, in addition.
Yes. All right. So let's talk more about the butt stuff. So let's say somebody is ready to insert a finger. What do they do? And just finger is it? Do they need to move it around? What do you suggest?
Okay, here's my best tip. One, just start rubbing the butthole. Just start rubbing it. It will let you know if he's into it or not. If he tries to break your finger off, just leave it alone. Leave it alone. At least for now. They come around. But once you like are ready to put your finger in, all you really need to do is just put the tip of your finger in there. And then remember just to go slow. Don't jam your whole finger in there. Stick the top of the little tip of your finger in there. And you're going to make don't move it around a bunch when it's just the tip. Once you get a little bit deeper in, then you are going to want to move. And you're going to want to do those come hither motions. The same style that you would use like simulating your G-spot. Same thing. Prostates love those. So just remember to use lube, go slow, and honestly, when it's ready for more finger, it will draw you in a little bit. So just keep in mind that nobody likes a surprise finger all the way in the butt. Just start slow.
Preach.
Jam it all the way in. Don't be one of those people who's like, oops, wrong hole.
Never. That never ends. Ever ends well when that happens.
No. And I think as women, we're used to most women can relate to that experience. That's why I like to use it as an example. I'm like, don't do that, because you know how much you hate it when that happens.
Yeah. All right, so more in terms of edging. So edging is basically getting them to that build up. So getting really close to orgasm and then backing off. So what have you seen in your work? Like, how can somebody that's listening, how can they identify if their partner is getting close to that orgasm? And when is it okay to go a little bit more, and when is it time to pull back?
Okay, so in my experience, here are the things. You just need to really, really pay attention to what's going on. And that's why I say just use your hands, because there's a little bit more control there. But you need to pay attention to what's going on. His breathing will become more rapid. There will be like some slight flexion in like the abs and his butt. His butt will be a little bit hard to tell if he's laying on his back. But his butt cheeks will clench a little bit. The penis will get like really rock hard for just like a second in your hand. Mm-hmm. Like if you notice like it, like you're like, whoa, that got way harder, way all of a sudden. That is a sign you need to slow down. Those little penis twitch jumps are a good sign that you need to slow down, and really just like honestly look at him. If he looks like he is like, oh, then you need to slow down a little bit. So my general rule of thumb is like no more than 5 of the same touch, or else you're gonna tip the scales.
Okay. Gosh, okay, so you no more than 5 of the same motion. Can you give listeners just some ideas of, like, what is a motion? Like, give them some ideas of what to do exactly.
Okay, so, like, if you're just, stroking up and down with one hand, that's a great motion. Add your next hand on top of it, that's a good motion as far as stroking goes. And there are all kinds of variations that you can do there with pressure and the looseness of your grip, the tightness of your grip, the position of your hands, but to also use your thumbs a lot in like just like slowly massaging up the shaft of the penis. And I also like to do that like kind of loose fingertip grip on the head. But the same thing goes there, just like almost any more than 5 of one motion will tip the scale. So just like slow it down. Don't forget about the balls and the butthole. Just rub those. So like you can go from like 5 up and down hand strokes to a little ball massage, up into a little massaging the base with your thumbs. Just mix it up.
Okay. And have you ever experienced where, let's say you've done 3 to 5 of the same motion and it's not going well for somebody? That, like, has anybody ever gone soft during this?
Yeah, and here's the thing. That's pretty, if that ever happens to you, don't freak out about it. Like, because the stimulation can oftentimes be like a, whoa, what's going on here, of edging. And if he does get slightly less erect or get soft, it's just an opportunity to start over and play the game over without necessarily being at risk of blowing it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I find that happens sometimes with the stimulation, but don't let it hurt your feelings, and don't let it discourage you, because it's just an opportunity to start over.
Yeah.
And edge him some more.
I love that. And not to get discouraged even, because it's not necessarily that you're doing something wrong. It could be that, his body is just not used to it, or maybe it is just something that doesn't feel pleasurable. And now you know, right? And that's the beauty of this, is learning your partner's body or your own body for that matter.
Yeah, I think it's in that situation, it's so easy to get your feelings hurt when you're in that situation, for both parties. But I think especially women, it's just so easy to take that personally in the moment, but it just might not be a touch that he enjoys. And that's okay. Don't take it personal. Don't let it hurt your feelings. Just don't use it next time.
Yeah. And do you recommend that people introduce like any dirty talk or music or anything during this?
I like a little bit of music, like sexy music in the background. But And I do a little bit of dirty talk. Like, I mean, honestly, in my experience is like, they're the ones doing more of the dirty talk. They'll be like, oh, fuck, that feels so good. Please don't stop. Please don't stop. And another thing that I failed to mention is like in the signs, him being like, please don't stop is a good indication you need to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because that's a good indication. But I like to just use maybe a little bit of dirty talk and be like, oh, you like that? You know, or does that feel nice? But not like break out all my dirty talk.
Yeah. I love that. Cool. All right. I'm super intrigued. Of course, my husband is going to be gone for the weekend, so I'm all like nerding out over this. Like, I cannot wait to try this and make some shit happen in our bedroom. So yeah, I guess that's part of the foreplay now for myself. I just have to wait, 4 days until I can engage in this. But is there anything that I didn't ask that you think is worth sharing for somebody that might be listening?
Don't be scared of it. Don't be scared of it. And if you blow it, it's not a big deal. Like, you have so many women that I talk to are just like full on scared of the penis, aside from like inserting it vaginally. So just don't put a lot of pressure on yourself. Just have fun with it. If it doesn't go quite the way you want, that's okay. Try again. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the beauty of it. I think that it's just such a cool way to connect and really like honor your partner. It almost borders on that line of cock worship.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was just gonna say.
But it's just such an incredible experience. And the other thing is, a lot of times when I talk about this, people will get the impression like, oh, great, I'm just doing another thing for my man's pleasure. But it's so empowering to know that you can have that control and to tease and deny. Like, every single time I got done with the session, I'm like, oh my God, I am a bad bitch. And I did that all with my hands, even though my tits were all messed up, even though I don't feel good in my body, I didn't get naked. I am a bad bitch. So don't discount how like empowering and sexually confident it will make you feel too.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I wanted to ask you too, is like, so my first thought of this is like, okay, this would be great for, during which phase you are in your cycle. So typically your luteal phase, that's usually when a female sex drive is super, super down. Those are the times when I'm usually more apt to doing things like this to treat my husband, right, and give him that pleasure, especially if I'm not feeling it. But then when you were explaining it, I was like, fuck, I feel like I would feel super turned on after this, like, even if it was, like you said, like if I brought him to orgasm, I feel like 100%, like you said, men they're so apt to wanting to return the favor. You hope that they are anyways. So I'm thinking like, shit, like in doing this, I will be super turned on, get him to orgasm. And then perhaps like it's my turn, And so I wanted to ask, like, do you feel that women that you've worked with, do you find that this is something that can be arousing for them as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so... Once you slow down and like sync up your breathing, and it just becomes so like intimate. And in my experience and the women that I work with, is seeing that like raw, pure, unadulterated like lust that is going on in his body is so hot and so erotic that it's easy to be like, oh yeah, even I'm really turned on by this.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. All right. So you say you have a program coming up. It's called Master Your Man, and people can find you on Instagram at Lewd and Loud. Is that the best way of communicating with you?
Absolutely the best way. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rachael. I love this. Like I said, I'm like giddy and I want to nerd out over all of this and definitely treat my husband to a new type of experience for sure. So thank you so much. And yeah, anybody listening, if you have follow-up questions for Rachael, she's really good at responding on IG, and for sure follow you, because that's what wanted me to have you on this podcast. I saw your video, and she was demonstrating this tantric massage, you guys. So if you are listening right now and you're like, fuck, I wish I had more of a visual of this, definitely go check out her Instagram, because all the deets are there for sure.
Yeah, I think it's way more powerful to visually learn.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy to say, this is what you do, but to show you is something that's entirely different.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much again, and I look forward to continuing to follow each other and learning from you.
Yes, I'm so excited to have done this with you. I can't wait for you to try it.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you loved it, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a thing. And if you loved it so fucking much, be sure to leave a 5-star review. I'll see you next week, and until then, keep owning your sexual self.